11 people were killed yesterday. 400 are injured as 27 counties out of 47 protests against William Ruto presidency. And at the end of it, properties worth millions were destroyed, looted. Around 3 police stations burnt. I've painted that picture because that is a clear signal that something is wrong. And at the moment, the country cannot afford any sort of comfort. Any comfort now is too expensive for us as a country. Something is wrong. What was supposed to be commemorating those who were killed last year on 25th June turned to be a terror on people's businesses, a terror on the lives of individuals, and people being shot aimlessly, is a clear point that there is a problem somewhere. William Ruto must understand that there is a problem somewhere. So in this podcast, I want us to interpret politically the events of yesterday, even as CS Matian'gi, former CS Matian'gi, for the first time takes William Ruto head-on. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. Thank you very much for supporting this podcast. We do this each and every day because of your support. I'm still shooting in Kisumu. I've been here to support our son, and I think finally we've found our way out. And we just thank you for supporting that mission. Subscription is absolutely free. When you subscribe to a channel, when we click the notification bell, whenever we publish our videos, we'll be getting notifications. And so you will not miss our well-analyzed video. Since morning, I've spoken with more than 20 people who are close to me, who normally talk frequently in this channel, prominent members of this channel. And what exactly still triggers my mind, and I've been trying to unravel, mobilized or not mobilized, what triggered that huge number in Nairobi CBD on Wednesday? Because people streamed in CBD in thousands. And in fact, we might just be talking, but it was possible. The possibility that the protesters were very brave and suicidal, even to go to Statehouse. I remember I did my analysis on Wednesday morning, and I said, do's and don'ts, let's not go to Statehouse. I said that. I think in this podcast I'll go to the record. I said that. Let's not go the Statehouse way. What will look like anarchy really will give other people narratives to propel. The dominant opinion is simple. Kevin, there is a problem somewhere. So even before we go further on this analysis, can you tell me, where do you think is the problem? Just in simple terms, don't think outside the box. Just think within the box. What exactly is the problem? And let me show you some few instances here. This is a police station in Embakasi. It is called Villa Police Station. Villa is around Mukuru kwa Ruben. This is not very far from the Mukuru kwa Ruben affordable housing that President Ruto launched recently. This is Embakasi South, around Maradaima. People burnt that police station. Just some time back when we were analyzing affordable housing, the president was trying to portray a feel-good effect, that people are feeling good, that they're moving to those houses. But I kept on warning, there's something I always warn in this podcast, that the change must be felt Let's not create a perception of transformational change. We must intentionally show, and Kenyans must feel it. This is really what's going on. Let's look at the other one. What do you make of this? That the government and the state has become so vulnerable that we have to use some wire mesh to barricade the way to Statehouse, because you know that the people are coming for power.
Wa magharibi jioni hii saa 9:10 ni kwamba waandamanaji walikuwa wameelekea katika barabara hii ya kuelekea katika majengo ya ikulu ya rais, lakini hizo ni habari tu za juu. Mimi nimefika hapa kukueleza uwazi wa kwamba licha ya binadamu hata unyayo hakuna uliokanyaga katika malango yale. Nyuma yangu kuna ulinzi mkali wa maafisa wa GSU, na unaoona mtazamaji, huo ni waya wa miba ambao ni wa chuma, uko pale kwa minajili ya kuweka ulinzi kabambe sana. Sisi wenyewe hatujaruhusiwa kuvuka katika sehemu kama hiyo, na nyuma ya waya kama ule ni maafisa wa GSU wameweza kukita kambi hapa na kuhakikisha kwamba hata magari yanayoshika katika barabara hii ya kuelekea sehemu hizi za ikulu hayaruhusiwi kuvuka, bali huwa yanazunguka nyuma yangu tu. Waandamanaji walifika katika eneo kama hili, upande wangu mpiga picha akikuonyesha ni shule hii ya wasichana maarufu kama Statehouse Girls. Hapo ndipo yalipokuwa maishilio, lakini mbele ya hapa ilikuwa si rahisi.
And you have to do that to prevent the people. What happened yesterday was a clear attempt for the people to take back the power. I don't know how you want to look at it, but that is the truth. So, who has the burden of answer is not the masses. It is those in power. What has made the state become the first enemy of its own people? What has made? I listened to a couple of messages when protesters were on street. And the clarion call, what was supposed to be commemorating those who were killed, of course, commemorating, yes, but remember, it is demand for justice. And because people were demanding justice, those who came up with sireni numbers and people, watu wakajaza town, numbers got there, and no one had announced they were going to Statehouse. But in the middle of something here, these young people were heading to Statehouse. The clarion call was Ruto must go.
Shida moja kubwa ni wale ambao walikufa. Niona tuko na familia zao hapa. Ambao walikufa wamesaulika, familia zao zimesaulika, wanataka justice. So demanding for justice and accountability, because you can't come to mourn the dead then you continue killing us. That's why in the streets.
Tunaenda kumaliza kile ambacho tulianza. Tunaenda kutoka Songo. Hatuwezi endelea hivi. Wanatuulia kwa manyumba zetu. Walbato Juan alitolewa kwa mama yake. Usiogope kukufa. Kifo hiko. Change like death is inevitable.
At this point, let us take a minute and listen to Ahmed Hashi. And he says something that the political class is not so comfortable about. The issue of, did we overpromise? What exactly? And there is an issue of a promise not delivered.
The level, you know, what has happened to our country is profound, Ayub. We are undergoing a great transformation. And there's the great Ghanaian philosopher Anthony Appiah said that, you know, in a society that that there's no change and becomes static, it means that society is dead and it's not authentic. So we're going through a transformation in this country. The government doesn't understand it. The government has got a playbook. Law and order, we were elected, we're going to do what we believe. You wait for us until the end of the election for you to change us if you have some better ideas. This class war, it's a class war that's going on here. It is the president who started it with the bottom-ups. He went to the youth, he went to the underprivileged, he went to the poor of this country with the majority. And he said, I'm going to change your lives with something called bottom-up. He created a furnace in the social relations of our country. And he won power. Today, as we stand here, Ayub, is that those same forces who are betrayed are out on the street because their promises were broken. 80% of the country doesn't have jobs. The population of this country is 50 million. 40 million are under 30, under 25. They're Gen Zs. The circles of history in this country are coming together. And either we're going to have a very violent confrontation come the next election, or we're going to have a peaceful constitutional transfer of power. These are the two choices we have. The government today has to understand that, you know, if it started this process of bringing out these class differences in our society, then it has to manage them. And how does it manage them? The people who speak on the behalf of the government of this country are just atrocious. I know them. This government spokesman, the one who hired him at Orange House. I know the president was one of the leaders in our Pentagon when I was working there as a strategist. The thing about it is that we did things differently when there was a coalition government in this country. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Ruto are responsible for the last 10 years, 15 years of government in this country.
Something is wrong. The people in the streets, the graduates, the students, the unemployed Kenyans, everyone who is in the street is demanding an answer from the rulers. Police-civilian relationships has deteriorated to its lowest levels. You are going to see very outrageous video clips of people boxing the police and police just beating people carelessly. Matian'gi is saying, and I want us to compare, and that's why I want to say there is a problem. I want us to compare what Matian'gi is saying about protest and what William Ruto is saying.
I don't think there's someone around who thinks we should be living like this every day. And our young people getting out, expressing themselves, and the level of violence that we have seen, the level of destruction in the country is unbearable. And we cannot pretend that there are no issues. And this has nothing to do with politics. Whatever side of the political divide you belong to, these issues need to be addressed. I keep asking this question, how many lives are we going to lose before we start listening and reasoning with each other? Because what is being asked here really is attention, and then to ensure that we work in an inclusive manner to address the challenges that we face. And we cannot pretend that the challenges don't exist. And then we live as if those who are raising questions or those who are on the streets, like our young active Kenyans, are just doing it for any other reasons except trying to address the real issues that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So for me and many of us, really, it's a very, very sad day and very painful. If we were a little more open and more focused in addressing some of these issues, we should not have gotten here this year. Because when this happened last year, there are promises that were made that were never fulfilled. Personally, I've been thinking, actually, and maybe I'll speak about this some more when I get out and start having conversations with people. We needed an open a public inquiry on some of these things and on all things that are being raised. We cannot go on like this, because the question you ask yourself every day is, how many more lives are we going to lose before we start listening and reasoning with each other? I believe that there must come a time in the life of a country when nothing matters but the country. These questions I've asked about inclusion, the questions I've asked about what needs to be done in employment, how to handle education, because most of these frustrations, it's true, as some parent was telling me, some of our children are genuinely traumatized. If you have been in university for 2 years or 3 years, you cannot do an exam because you don't have money and so on. What do we expect them to do? It is painful and hurting. To be frank with you, sometimes you hope that in life you don't have to face a situation where you have to address these kinds of things. To look at like those mothers and those parents and all those who have lost their young ones in circumstances such as this. It is very sad, very disheartening. But look, let's not lose hope, because when all is said and done, let's get together, because it's for this reason precisely that we should all cross ranks in an intergenerational manner, come together and find solutions to fix these challenges, and we will fix them. These are not insurmountable problems. These are things we can deal with. I get very sad really when I see even the language that is being used in circumstances such as this. People are raising issues. What we have seen in the course of the last few days, the language even from the leaders is shocking. How do you address your citizens in the kind of manner that some of our leaders have been speaking? Yet actually you're addressing people who are raising challenges, very basic, straightforward issues and challenges that you need to solve and deal with as a leader. Why can't we even be decent and talk to each other in a responsible manner? The country and really the world now needs warriors of progress, warriors of development, not warriors who carry pangas and rungus. They need warriors of progress, warriors of development, warriors of togetherness who are going to build unity and create greatness out of our nation.
Niwahakikishie ya kwamba tutafanya bidii, mimi kama kiongozi wa taifa hii kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, nikisaidiwa na baba hapa na viongozi wengine wote, tutaunganisha taifa letu la Kenya. Iwe ni mahali hakuna chuki, hakuna ukabila, hakuna kisirani, sote tunaishi kama ndugu moja, watu wa taifa moja, na tushughulike na mambo ya maendeleo ya taifa letu la Kenya.
There is a big difference, and I want you to get this difference. Matian'gi is asking a question. What these people are asking does not need rocket science. And we should not lose hope. We should actually be thinking of fixing the country. William Ruto, on the other end, is only talking about us versus them. Those who oppose and those who don't support. Now, instead of the president introspecting and speaking about the issue, what is the issue here? He's talking about wale ambao wako na different opinion na wale ambao wako na another opinion. The narrative of us versus them is an escapist narrative. And I want to say that there is a problem somewhere. And we must get to the root cause of the problem. Kamket was in West Pokot. And Kamket is saying they are going to ferry goons to Nairobi from Pokot. There's another MP and another one who was telling the young people that you guys try going to Statehouse. Someone is even telling the Gen Z that make sure before you leave home, you write your eulogy and leave to your mother. And for better part of Tuesday, the messaging from the government was, don't leave your house. If you go to town, you will be killed. An intimidation tactic. There were stories about how people have been facilitated with rungus and this and that to loot, to come and terrorize the people. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we getting? And despite of all that, what wakatokezea? And without mentioning Wananda Statehouse, they were making their way to Statehouse. People know, the guys that are, the guys in those streets know very well that wanaweza kuwa killed in Statehouse. But will you kill 1 million? Can you kill 1 million? You cannot. And that is why I repeat, there is a problem somewhere, and we must be keen about finding the problem. What exactly are these young people asking for? What exactly are the Gen Zs asking for? What exactly are they asking for? They're asking for solutions. They're asking for systems to work. You know, you look at a situation where people, and let me tell you, the Gen Zs in the street, they do not need direction from Gachagua, from Ruto, from Raila. Let me tell you, those people don't trust politicians. They don't trust politicians. Yes. And I insist, this is it. There is something that we must answer, and there is something that we must do urgently. What is happening? I'm looking at those video clips. I'm looking the way people are crying about how their businesses have been destroyed. And I clearly feel, I'm coming back with another analysis on that, especially on that vandalism and looting. Something is amiss. Moving forward, the president must change, and the president and his allies must change that defiant tone, that defiant language, and tone down, and actually go for a reconciliatory tone, because ile kitu iko rais, hawa watoto wamekasirika, and it's not even them. Hawa wananchi wamekasirika. If there is seem to be some anger, you know, let me tell you, as to whether it is anger coming from influence, lakini kuna tuasira tuandani. That's something I put in my status the other day, and I was saying, you keep on saying Rigathi is a tribalist, Rigathi is this and that. Let me tell you, the things Rigathi are saying are not good. But sadly, they resonate with the people. Not because Rigathi is inventing new things. It's because the other side, which is supposed to give hope, is more dangerous. They rather remain even with Rigathi. So when Rigathi says one term, you know, the one term is resonating with the people because the people cannot see the need for two term. So, Rais, tone down. Hii mambo ya police, wale ambao watutaki, that, I think you need, the whole conversation about unity must be genuine about it. And the first thing, tone down. The Osoros wanyamaze. The Osoros of our day, the Kamkets, those characters must slow down. Those characters are they are the ones that will actually ban this country. Number two, we must ensure transparency in the next elections and be conscious on the transition messaging. There is something that the president said here recently. He said, I will not hand over power to those people who don't have plan. Any feeling that someone wants to stick to power against the will of the people will be met with a big viciousness from the masses. We are not saying because this is what we want, but I'm interpreting this from what happened. You must make sure, and from that IBC, you guys must make sure you serve this country and that elections becomes very transparent. Let me tell you, these young people will be in the National Tallying Center. Watapiga kura leo, kesho watakuwa nataka kwenda kwa National Tallying Center. That will be it. Any messaging on transition that I cannot leave power, that kura isipotosha tutajaza, that kind. Remember in Eldoret, there was no protest in Siaya, Homa Bay and Migori, but there was a protest in Eldoret and Kericho. Number three, university students, the jobless Kenyans, and the population at large are pouring in the streets in their numbers, demanding one thing: Ruto must go. What does this mean? Rais, unaona hii conversation ya SHA, 23 million have registered, affordable housing, we are lifting people down up. Those things watu hawasfeel. Yes, hiyo ndio ukweli. Watu hawafeel hizo vitu. When I was watching yesterday protest, I was saying, at this rate, the media, and if I was in the media, I would have tried, split the screen, a protest in town, and Ruto launching an affordable housing. The affordable housing, hiyo kitu I click. The kind of roads we're saying, you know, I'm building road X, watu hawanunui hizo vitu. Something, the government is not being felt. Yes, Rais, watu hawafeel, watu hawakufeel. Hiyo ndio kweli. I think if I say it in Kiswahili, it comes more clearer. There is a problem somewhere. And lastly, institutions to audit the police excesses must now do their work, because two things are involved. Looking at the brutality that has happened, even the police, they were also on target yesterday. Victims. Police pia wengi sana waliumia. Number two, the police also went on rampage. If you're not careful, I am saying this, and I'm not preaching that this should happen, but the country is very fragile, that kitu kidogo tu, it will be another protest. Kitu kidogo tu, it will be another protest. We must get it right, because there is a problem somewhere. Tuonane baadaye.